And welcome back to another video from the Macbeth Bible. In the last video we looked at this quotation, and now we're looking at Macbeth's confession to his wife here after he's had not after he's had anyone killed, after he has killed the king and his grooms, his guards. So here we go to analyse language, form and structure. So the first thing I notice is that, oh, full of scorpions, there's a double stress here. Again, Shakespeare is breaking the iambic pentameter, and he does this to show that something's wrong. So that syllable should be unstressed, but of course it can't be because it's a complaint, a lament. So there's your first clue that something is deeply wrong here. We can also use it to analyse Macbeth's deep love for his wife with the use of the word dear. But we can also see it as patriarchal language. He doesn't refer to her by name at all. He refers to her as wife, his possession, because in Shakespeare's time, the wife was subservient to her husband, and indeed everything she owned became his. So she becomes his property. And then another interpretation of the word dear is not the term of endearment, I love you, but the synonym for dear is expensive. And so here we could argue that in his mind he's starting to blame his wife for the expensive mistake of killing Duncan, even though it was his own fault. So now let's look at the metaphor, full of scorpions is my mind, and let's consider how he's trying to abdicate responsibility here. He's not saying that he has made the decision to kill the king and therefore full of misgivings or full of guilt. No, instead, he chooses a metaphor which suggests that he is being attacked. As though it's not really his decision to have killed the king, he's being made to do it by the scorpions. So this is a deliberate ploy by Macbeth to abdicate his responsibility and not admit that he alone is to blame. He wants to pass on the blame to unnamed forces who he sees as scorpions. He wants to blame his wife. Now let's look back at how it echoes the earlier words of his wife. She was asking him to be the serpent, which you remember meant Satan. And so she was asking her husband to be Satan, the evil being. Now here, Macbeth should logically, if he's got misgivings, he should logically use that word serpent. Full of serpents is my mind, but he won't do that because being a serpent is automatically linked to evil, and he doesn't want to see himself as evil, even though he's just carried out this awful murder. Okay, so that pretty comprehensively hit assessment objective 2. We've analysed the language and the form of structure, and we've used loads of subject terminology. So what next? Well, what does it say about the context of the time? Shakespeare's audience would be expecting Macbeth to be punished. He has committed an incredibly evil act through regicide, killing the king, and therefore he must be punished. And the beginning of his punishment happens in his own mind. So the audience realizes fate isn't going to punish him yet. God isn't going to be punishing him yet. His own conscience, his own mind is going to turn on him and drive him mad before he will eventually, in his turn, be killed. This is, if you like, justice being enacted on stage. Okay, let's now look at the vocabulary I've introduced you to again. Patriarchal, you should be familiar with now. The society controlled by men, where women are excluded from power. Abdicate, the idea of giving up power, but also a useful word to use because it often means a king or queen giving up their power. Regicide, the act of killing a king, a king. Iambic pentameter you'll be used to, where you have a syllable pattern where the first syllable is unstressed and the next one is stressed. And the vocabulary I didn't give you, but describes O full, two stressed syllables. That's called a spondee, and it's a metrical foot of two syllables, both of which are long or stressed. So there you have it. Hope you found this really useful. Look out for my next video, and if you'd like more, subscribe.